Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is underwritten by
TikTok Cafe, located on Causeway South at the I-10 in Metairie, is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Our menu offers breakfast dishes like our Western omelet made from scratch biscuits, grits, egg sunny side up, and lunch specials like our homemade cheeseburgers with a side of golden brown fries. Don't forget about our weekday lunch special and that every Tuesday is steak night. TikTok Cafe, open 24/7 at Causeway South at the I-10 in Metairie.
At Villeries Florist, we deliver the magic of flowers 7 days a week to the North Shore and South Shore in the New Orleans area. Whether it's for birthday parties, baby celebrations, Villeries provides colorful floral displays for all. With a store full of fresh-cut flowers, exotic tropical flowers, orchids, roses, and even fruit baskets, our goal is to make your vision a reality. Villeries Florist, proudly serving Louisiana since 1969. Mr. Ed's Oyster Bar and Fish House has been shucking here since 1979. Located at 3117 21st Street in Metairie, Mr. Ed's Oyster Bar and Fish House offers raw, fried, and grilled oysters, as well as a range of Cajun and Creole dishes. Enjoy a dozen with a smile.
Good evening, New Orleans, and welcome to another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Over the next hour, we cover all the home teams, the New Orleans Saints, the New Orleans Pelicans, the LSU Tigers. Got a great panel for you as always. Tonight, Juan Kincaid, sports director over at Fox 8 Sports, Dino Hanson of ESPN 100.3 are on the panel. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. We always like to start off telling the folks a little bit about what you guys are involved in. Juan, why don't you start us off?
Well, we're busy. I mean, everyone's busy in the sports industry right now. You got football going on. The Saints are playing far and above what we expected this year. So you got the game Thursday night in Atlanta. High school football playoffs have finally reached the Dome, which is the most spectacular, most fun time, I think, of the season for the teams that can get there. We've got a lot of teams that are in there this year that have never been there before or hadn't been there in decades.
Yes.
So it's really busy with all our shows right now.
Right, and you guys got a lot of great shows as well. I mean, almost seems like every day of the week you guys got a Saints show.
Yeah, but things have been kind of crunched together this week with Game Plan and Tailgate and Jim Henderson's Black and Gold Review show, and all the shows are doing really well on our network right now. And it's a busy time,
right.
But it's fun. It's a fun time when the Saints are winning.
Oh yeah,
a lot more fun.
It's easier to cover the teams when they're winning.
They want to talk to you, and you want to talk to them.
Yeah, that's right. There's no doubt about that. Of course, you want to find out what's happening in high school for their Friday football shows.
Fox 8 Football Friday, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Dino, welcome back to the show. Good to have you back. Tell the folks about what you're involved in.
Thanks so much. Glad to be back and glad to be on with Juan and see you guys as well. You're right. It's a great time to be a New Orleans fan right now. If it's high school, if it's college, as well as the Saints, the city is always in a good mood when the Saints are winning and LSU football was successful, Tulane football, although that questionable call at the end of the Tulane football game. Tulane basketball is moving in the right direction. Yes. LSU, high school basketball. So whatever sport it is that you want, it's going on. And our Pels are actually 12-12 for the first time since the 2014-2015 season. And, of course, that's where I am 100% covering my Pels. So.
No doubt about it. Yeah. Of course, Saints taking on the Atlanta Falcons tonight. Of course, we don't have the obviously the score when this is replayed on a Friday. Guys, let's start off 31-21, Saints over Panthers, 9-3 now. Big bounce back win for after going to Los Angeles and losing to the Rams. Really a tough division game. This has always been a very, very physical game between Carolina and the Saints. But one thing they did very, very well, they handled Cam Newton, and it started up front with a defensive line that played very, very well for them. Your thoughts, Juan?
Well, I think back to week 3 when the Saints went into that game at Carolina when they were 0-2, and everyone's thinking, okay, 2-0 Panthers, it's going to be 3-0 Panthers. And the Saints did to them then what they did in week 13, which is mean they ran the ball down their throats. And we talked about a Panther team that had, the third-ranked defense in the league, second against the run. So they're almost saying, run against us and see if you can do it. The Saints ran against them like they've done everyone this season. Kamara and Ingram have been as good a 1-2 punch this league has seen in the last 5 years. And And so they did what their strength is right now. I know Drew Brees can still win a game for you, but when he doesn't have to, that's kind of the way you want it.
Your overview of the game.
That's the great key right there, Juan, is the fact that it's all not relying upon Drew to win the game for you. You're actually taking that pressure off of him, and now you are able to go downfield when you need to because you are being aggressive in your running attack. You don't know if Mark is going to hit the hole up the middle or if Alvin's going to take it out out on the sideline. Their impact has also sparked the defense, I feel like. Their aggressiveness of attacking a Cam Newton, and I think the exact same way in the future games. Yeah.
You know, on the offensive side of the ball, they've kind of changed from shock and awe to pound and pass. We've been talking about that a lot on the radio show and on this show. One thing what I'd like to see going forward is now with Willie Snead kind of getting back in the mix here, all along they've had a situation where Ted Ginn has really kind of played the Brandon Cooks role in a lot of underneath plays. He's been getting, again, the yards after catch, maybe a little bit more than we saw from a Brandon Cooks that seemed to go down after he caught the ball. Maybe there's a possibility now they move Ginn more to the outside in that Devery Henderson role because, again, teams are collapsing. They're bracketing now Michael Thomas with a linebacker, a safety, and a corner. And for the most part, the receivers haven't got a lot of separation. So it'll be interesting to see what Peyton does going forward over these last few weeks as he prepares to get into the playoffs now with what seems to have a full complement of receivers, even though, again, now Fleener is no longer with the team because of the concussion. He's on IR.
You've got a lot of complement of receivers, but a lot of the receivers that do the same thing. And you brought Ted Ginn in here to be that guy that can stretch the field, even though he's probably the oldest receiver on the football team. I think Michael Thomas is just going to be a Hall of Famer. If he stays healthy, the way he's played so far, he's going to be fantastic. I think Willie Snead coming back this week. They got involved in the offense last week. Had a big first down catch last week, and you'd like to see him get back more in the mix. The situation he had in the offseason and coming back to practice with the hamstring injury, it really set him back. And so I think people had too high of expectations for him coming back. You were looking to be the Willie Snead of last year, almost 1,000 yards, and it couldn't be that because he was out of shape, his body wasn't healthy, and his mind wasn't right. And so I think it's taken this long for him to get back into the mix of things, and they need him to be effective and get in those seams because Atlanta's got some pretty darn good receivers. The Saints need to be able to match that a little bit. What they have the advantage also is that you've got two running backs that can catch the ball, especially Kamara out of the backfield. So it's almost like having Reggie Bush and Darren Sproles and Pierre Thomas again. You match him with the linebacker, and you've got an advantage there. And that's how Sean Payton is kind of calling his offense right now. Yeah, no doubt. It's definitely going with the short passing game instead of, again, trying to get those big splash plays that we've seen in the past. And that's the key thing about it is the fact that Ginn still does give you that down-the-field threat. Yes. Despite his age, he still has that speed to get open. Michael Thomas, just like you alluded to, he is phenomenal. His ball skills are literally through the roof. You add in a Kamara coming out the backfield, that's like having another receiver there. And you mentioned the fact of Willie Snead's hamstring. It takes a while to recover from that, even from a psychological standpoint, because you're always worried if that one move will then re-aggravate that same hamstring that you've recovered from. And while you're recovering from that, there are certain things you just can't do to be in football shape. Right. Give a lot of credit to Brandon Coleman. You guys charted it out on Jim Henderson's Black and Gold Review. I actually went back on Sunday and saw a couple of plays where Brandon Coleman made some excellent blocks. He's done that in the second level all season long. The biggest difference now is Brandon Coleman catches the football. Once again, Curtis Johnson develops another receiver. This is a guy that when he came out of Rutgers was inconsistent. You now say between his blocking prowess, his size, and his ability to catch the ball, he's a guy that again, I think could be a weapon for this team. Well, when he came out of Rutgers, they hoped they saw him as the next Marcus Colston. Marcus Colston. Guy just lost his name. Marcus Colston. That's a lot of pressure put on the play, even though they had similar backgrounds and that they both were late picks, it's good to see him kind of rounding into the receiver that he is now. What I think has hurt him a little bit, though, is that they can't get a deep threat down the field to stretch the field, and he can kind of get in the pockets a little bit. He's having to play like the Willie Sneads and the Michael Thomases, and everything's kind of short. But I think he continues to be a weapon for this football team, and I think he may be the best blocking receiver on this team as well. Yeah, I think so too. And look, he's had to find a way to stay on the field. Right. It's been remarkable. Again, look, that takes, and you know this, Dino. You got to get in front of the jug machine. If you're inconsistent catching the football, you got to work. He's put the work in. He put the work in, and the other aspect
aside from the great things that they're doing on the field, mentally, you can see they have this mindset that they know they can dominate. And psychologically, when you're going into the game, you play with a different air, a certain attitude of, we're going to punch you in the mouth before you even get the chance to even think about hitting us back in return. And they keep coming and they keep pouring it on. You can see them defensively flying around the ball as well. Offensively, when you look over and you see how engaged Sean is, again, he's rejuvenated at that success. It breeds throughout everybody that's on that field.
He's rejuvenated by doing his offense different.
Yes.
He didn't have, again, he hasn't been on Drew Brees. Right. It's not 45 passes a game, Chuck, and hopefully having a bit of a running game to help it out a little bit. I've got this brand new toy in front of me, and it's fantastic.
Well, it starts up front, and again, what they've done is rebuilt that offensive line, and they've used high draft picks to do it. Obviously, Unger comes in the Jimmy Graham trade. You got to give Senio Kelementi a lot of credit. He's been able to move from one side of the line to the other. Ramczyk comes in as a rookie. A lot of us, myself included, was looking for a defensive player at that pick. Ramczyk has come in. He can flip side to side. He doesn't miss a beat. Unfortunately, Pete will be out this week. That's going to hurt. You got to have Armstead back. But this has been the best offensive line in football this year.
This has been the best offensive line they've had since Sean Payton's been here. We were talking about it last night on the show that, that 06 draft class and what they got out of that was fantastic. But when you look at what they've done with that offensive line, we talk about Kamara and Michael Thomas and Drew Brees and give these offensive guys the big headlines. But nothing's been more impressive than the offensive line. The fact that they've treated it like chess pieces, putting them, moving guys around. Pete will go to the left side, he'll go to right guard, he'll go to left guard. They're all over the place, but they've all adapted to what they've had to do. It's going to be interesting to see if Teron Armstead plays against the Falcons tonight, because if he doesn't play, how do you sort that offensive line out then? That's when you've got problems.
Man, if he doesn't play,
that entire left side,
right? You're in trouble, because I don't know if there's another player on this team now, especially with Pete going out, that you can move into that tackle position against a very, very fast Atlanta defensive ends and outside linebackers.
Their versatility has been huge. The same versatility that we've talked about Mark and Kamara bringing to the table, that offensive line, they have been able to maneuver those pieces and not miss a beat. And although Streif, because I love Streif because he's a great locker room guy, he's been a great veteran leader. Given the fact that he hasn't been able to be a part of that and guide these guys, if you will, bodes very well for them down the stretch.
Yeah. Guys, when you look at right now with Atlanta, on defense with McKinley and Beasley and now Upshaw, the former Baltimore Raven, Claiborne, those defensive ends, obviously, again, they'll be able to put a lot of pressure on Drew Brees. Drew Brees was under pressure a little bit last week against Carolina. Yeah. Pete had problems with speed rushers. Got to have Armstead back tonight.
The fact that you had Peppers being as effective as he was, you're going to have to chip these Atlanta linebackers coming through for sure, because they want to pressure them. We all know the rivalry that is Atlanta and New Orleans. You're going to have Mark or Kamara definitely give them a chip to allow Drew that time if he does need to go downfield, or even with Kamara being that Sproles dynamic that he brings to the table, because at any given time, he can break it for something that's going to be huge. So you're going to need to make sure that Atlanta's defensive line and their linebackers are somewhat controlled, if you will.
I think it's been an interesting dynamic, Kamara and Ingram against Jones and Riley et al., the linebacking core, because of the type of speed Atlanta puts on the field from sideline to sideline.
Yeah, but they have the 8th ranked defense in the league, but they're 18th against the run. So I'm looking at where's the advantage the Saints have here, and it's running the ball. They don't stop the ball as well as they stop it throwing. And so you have to, and I'm sure, listen, we all know Sean Payton have figured that part of it out. Where's their weak spot? And it is stopping the run. So, but again, this team all season long has used the run to set up the pass, whereas in years past, it's always been the exact opposite. So.
Yeah, no doubt. Defensively, got to give a lot of credit to Dennis Allen, the transformation of this defense. Obviously, they've added some key pieces that have put this team a little bit over the top. But even, again, with the loss of Alex Okafor, which, again, I think a lot of people downplayed that huge loss, his ability to be able to tackle, how he played against the run, and, of course, his ability to again, rush the passer. I mean, last week you had Jordan Davidson, Anyamata Hughes, Rankins, who's now a little bit of a fish out of water at that defensive end position, and even Hendrickson, who came in and subbed for him at times. You know, they were able to again, follow the game plan and to contain Cam Newton. And it was one of the better games I've seen play. Look, Davidson and Hughes inside dominated last week against a pretty good Carolina running game.
Well, I think you got to look at the back end first off, because there were a lot of times when the front four didn't get to Cam Newton at all. He was allowed to stay back there 4, 5, 6 seconds. But the Saints recognized that Panthers don't have any offensive weapons outside of McCaffrey. That's about all you have there.
Funches is not bad.
Funches is not a bad player, but he's not a guy that's going to threaten you with 10, 15 catches a game, get down the field on you. And you had Ken Crawley guarding him and played very well. The one touchdown catch he made, nobody gets that ball. That's thrown up to a 6'6" guy, and Crawley was in great position. But I think the fact that they played really well on the back end is why they were able to contain and beat the Panthers last week with their defense, because the game plan was to keep Cam in the pocket. Don't let him run. He did break off the one run, but for the most part, they kept him in the pocket and made him beat them with his arm.
Under 200 yards passing, 183 yards, 51 yards rushing, I think 32 on just one play for Cam Newton.
Here's the concern, though, against Atlanta. We know Sanu and Julio Jones. Funches is nowhere near on that level. So that's definitely going to have to be some scheme involved there to at least keep Julio Jones going under. You don't want him going over the top. That's where he really hurts you the most at. The exact same thing with Sanu. He'll run those curl routes and then create space there after the fact. So it's going to take a lot of pressure. And we know once Ryan starts to feel that pressure, he will get erratic in that pocket.
True. And of course, right now, Lattimore, Armstead, Williams, all questionable. They need Lattimore on the field. You're not going to get away with playing zone against the Atlanta Falcons.
No, they got to get Lattimore on the field. And I would like to think that because he didn't play against Carolina, because you knew you didn't really need him, if you get Crawley back, you save him for the big guns. You save him for Julio Jones. And I think that's what they were doing.
Yeah. And guys, I think to your point, when you look at last week, Marcus Williams out of the game, wasn't missed. You know, when you look at Bush and Bell, both played very, very well on the back end. Vaccaro coming back maybe a week earlier than he should, probably because of the loss of Lattimore and Crawley. He seemed much more comfortable last week as well.
Vaccaro didn't look good the first time he came back. And you could tell that groin was still bothering him. He was not moving well, but he looked a lot better another week later. And as you continue to get a little bit healthier, he's going to continue to look better. But yeah, they didn't miss Marcus Williams, but he's a fantastic football player.
He really is.
It's just another player that they've gotten, that they did right in the draft, and they got the right player, and he's fit into this scheme. And again, it needs to go back to Dennis Allen. The job he has done this year with a young group of players, and then mixing that in with the veterans that are there. Cam Jordan's the best unsung defensive player on the line in the NFL. Doesn't get talked about, but maybe one of the best players. Dennis Allen's done a fantastic job. And so I wonder, as we look ahead 2 years from now, if it continues to play this way on defense, does Dennis get another shot at being a head coach?
I think he gets another shot. I think at this point you've got to be a little bit more choosy than what he was with Oakland, trying to take just the first job that came his way. I think he got a little burn there, and I think the next time around he's going to be a little bit more choosy on where he goes.
I think you have to be given the situation, and I think anytime you are offered that first head coaching job, you jump at it. Right. Because we know what type of environment and climate we live in now with the coaching carousel, if you will. He has done a fantastic job. The entire coaching staff and the scouts of bringing these young guys in need to be given a lot of credit of finding the necessary pieces and talent. Because let's not forget, only a few weeks ago, 0-2, they were ready to blow it all up. Everybody was thrown under the bus. And look at how quickly that has turned around and everybody has bought into the mindset of what we need to do.
I think one of the important things to remember is that during the offseason, Mr. Tom Benson or someone in the higher-up said, look, you got to change your coaching staff. You got to get rid of some of these guys that have been with you since 2006. We got to get a different culture and have a different voice in these position players. And it's worked. And Jeff Ireland's been more involved in all front office stuff as far as getting players in here. This is really probably his first draft class where he's really had his hands on it. So there's been a lot of workings behind the scenes that have led to this team being where they are now.
You know, guys, you mentioned the coaching staff. You went from guys, the same voices in that locker room since 2006 for the most part. Bill Johnson came in 2009. Those guys, for the most part, they didn't develop players. I think you see a difference in just the teaching part of this. Players have gotten better every single week with this team. And I think that's something they lacked maybe with this coaching staff previously. You have a young team as opposed to what you have since Peyton got here, which was more of a veteran team. So now these guys are kind of learning and you see them getting better week to week.
Well, I think it goes back to different voices now. I mean, I liked a lot of the coaches that were on the staff over the last 10 years. Nice guys.
Yeah.
But the message was getting lost.
You got to learn how to teach. You got to know how to teach.
You got to know how to teach. And Sean Payton's message at sometimes was getting lost, saying the same thing every week. Drew Brees' message of, we're going to be fine. We just got to keep at it. It was getting lost. It sounded like the same thing. So I think when you were forced by someone higher up and said, listen, we got to change this, because if we don't change what's going on now, the next change is going to be you, Sean Payton. I think the message was loud and clear.
Yeah.
The other thing that I like is that these young guys have also bought into each other, and they're holding each other accountable. And that is the key word with anything successful, the accountability aspect. Knowing that when I look to my right, I know I've got Juan over here. When I look to my left, knowing that I've got Eric over here. And you guys are going to take care of what you're supposed to independently for us to collectively bond.
You know what would help? Is if they recruited everybody from Ohio State.
Well,
because they don't miss on Ohio State.
There's a pipeline there with Urban Meyer and Sean Payton.
There's a reason why Sean Payton keeps going back there, because every player they've gotten from there, going back to Malcolm Jenkins, has been a good player for the Saints.
I can go to Will Smith on that too.
Will Smith too.
Urban is a phenomenal teacher.
Right.
Yep.
He makes it a point to pay attention to those little details, those fine-tuning things that go beyond the talent.
To your point about, the bust that we saw early, not trusting each other. 2-2 in that first quarter. Yeah. You saw a little bit of a change after Carolina, and then the trip to London, I think, was almost like a mini training camp for them. They got away. Yeah. It was just a team at that point. Yeah. Second quarter of the season, 4-0. Third quarter of the season, 3-1. Of course, the fourth quarter, right in front of you with Atlanta this week, New York Jets and Atlanta back-to-back at home, and then finishing up the season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This game tonight against Atlanta, although not a must-win, makes it much more easier for you to be able to win the NFC South crown. And, of course, for seeding, it's going to go a long way in helping that as well.
Well, you think back to the last time the Saints played 5 games in December. It was 2013. They went into that December leading the division and basically almost in first place in the whole NFC. They come out of that, ended up being the 6th and final wild card position. They went 2-3 in December 2013. They've already gotten this December off to the right start. It's all in front of them. Every goal they had this season that no one expected them to get is right there in front of them. Winning the division, maybe getting the top seed in the NFC, or at least hosting a couple of home games. We know how important the home venue is in the playoffs. It's for the Saints. It's incredibly important to stay at home, stay inside, stay where you're comfortable, and win football games. And what's returned this year for the first time in 4 years is a home field advantage. The last 2 or 3 years, teams have come in and felt like they could win in the Superdome.
Yes.
This year, they've lost one game there, and have played very well in all the other games there and found ways to win football games, even when it looked like they were on dire straits, like the Washington game.
They're in that position where they're controlling their own destiny.
Absolutely.
Now. And that bodes extremely well, because now you're not looking over your shoulder as much. You can actually relax and play your game, knowing that you're at the forefront and everyone else is chasing you.
You've got other teams around you, like the Vikings and the Rams. They've all got to play each other.
Yes.
And like Minnesota plays Carolina next. If Minnesota wins that game, or Carolina wins that game, all of a sudden you're back in the hunt with Minnesota.
Sure.
There's so much to play for right now.
Well, that's why you don't want to hiccup. You really want to try to finish out strong. If you can win every game going out, that's going to help you. You didn't want to lose that Ram game, but maybe it was a little bit of a reset for this
perfect time.
Perfect
time.
Absolutely. And it was a good thing to make you reconfigure everything and get you focused again, if you will. Because sometimes you will actually get caught up reading the clippings as well.
Especially now with athletes with social media. Both you guys are very, very active on social media. Both you guys obviously follow a lot of athletes on social media. This is a different time than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago, where you didn't have to turn on Juan Kincaid's sports show. Right. You have to listen to my radio show. You didn't have to look at the sports page. Right. You can look at every part of the page with that. Now it's in your face with on your phone, your laptop, your computer, your whatever, your pad. So they're very, very active in social media. So they read, they see what's going on.
That's why when you hear a player or even Sean Payton say, well, this is the first I've heard of that, No, it's not.
No, it's not.
We know that you know before we know. And that's just the way our society is now. It's that you got to have the news right away, right now. And these players all read what's being said about them. They know what's being said. And so that Rams loss came at the perfect time. And it came in the perfect way. They got their butts kicked up there. And to lose at that point in time, it refocused this team into saying, you know what, we still got to stretch here to take care of things.
New Orleans reveled in the 28-3 debacle that was the Super Bowl. What was it, 2:12 left in the third quarter. Guys, because players are so engaged in social media, do you think that they got an inkling of what was going on in New Orleans, the celebration of the demise of the Atlanta Falcons in last year's Super Bowl, or do you think that's just a little bit above what they're even looking at or listening to?
I'll tell you why they did, because so many New Orleanians live in Atlanta. And you know, black and gold fans love to throw it in the Atlanta Falcons' face all the time. So even if they weren't paying attention to here in New Orleans, they heard the grumblings everywhere they went in Atlanta about their fans not being loyal, faithful fans, about the fact that they had the 28-3 lead and then they do what the Falcons always do year in and year out. You can't avoid that. There is no debating on that. You had it and you lost it in typical fashion. So this matchup now, of course, in Atlanta's mind, you know, you hear many players from Atlanta say, well, we're not even thinking about the New Orleans Saints. The fact that you're mentioning the New Orleans Saints lets them know you're thinking about them already.
You played basketball on the collegiate level. Is that a motivating factor in your mind for the Falcons, or is it, you know, out of sight, out of mind, we got to take on the Saints tonight?
I think it should be. I know for me, it personally was. It was always at the forefront of my mind, knowing that if we lost, it was something that I could never get rid of. And there was some underlying feelings there that I definitely wanted to exemplify that next game. Absolutely.
I think if you look at the Falcons this year, they are still feeling the effects of losing last year's game because the entire team is back. They're a good football team, but they're 7-5. And there's a reason why, because they're feeling the pressure of trying to repeat what they did last year. Because, you know, when you win a Super Bowl, the window starts closing after that, unless you keep the system fresh, keep recycling good players in there. And they've still got a good team. But there's a reason why they're 7-5. And I think it's because they're still feeling the pressure, are still feeling the disappointment of losing the Super Bowl last year and trying to recreate that magic they had last year, and it hasn't worked out. And the Saints went through the same thing.
Yeah, they definitely did. It's hard to repeat.
It's hard to recreate that magic,
That hangover will be there because they have also questioned themselves of why are we 7-5? We've got the same guys, we've been here before, but yet we can't get over the hump. Yet it's almost expected that other teams are waiting for us to implode, if you will.
And again, you are a marked team once you go to the Super Bowl. Teams are up for you every week, no matter what, whether you won or lost, because you represented your conference in the Super Bowl. Guys, Taysom Hill. Look, I knew Taysom Hill. I read. I went on the fan sites and read what they were saying about Taysom Hill up in Green Bay after he got released, and when the Saints grabbed him and didn't put him on the practice squad, put him on the active roster. I knew that they thought enough of him to put him on the active roster as that third quarterback. All of a sudden now they throw him out there as on the special teams. I think it might be a little bit different this week than it was last week because now teams will game plan for him. Peyton telling the Fox crew that he was the heir apparent to Drew Brees, my next quarterback's in the building. He downplays that to the local media this week. Your thoughts on Taysom Hill? Is he the quarterback of the future? Is this guy a novelty right now with his team? I mean, we've seen Joe Theismann return punts. Guido Merkins back here way back when Bum Phillips was the head coach. He was kind of a utility guy that played all positions including quarterback. Your thoughts on Hill?
Well, I think it's a great story from last week because it just shows that if a player can play, you put him on the field and let him play. Now, is he the heir apparent to Drew Brees? I don't think so because you're not going to have a guy that you're saying is Drew Brees' follower, you're not going to have him running special teams. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
So Sean Payton can sit there and say what he wants to national media and to local media. Like, we're not being fooled by this. I think it's a great story that the guy, he looks like a guy that could play special teams. He's a big kid. Solid. But is he? I'd like to think he is, but I just don't think so.
Yeah.
It's a good feel-good moment.
Absolutely.
And we love the right now.
Absolutely.
He invigorates the team. He rejuvenated the team. The fans were loving it, the energy that he brought. But as Juan alluded to, there is no way in the world, if this is your heir apparent to Drew Brees, you're going to have him running down, tackling other people on special teams.
Right. There's a reason why they moved the kickoffs up
Yeah.
to kick the ball through the end zone so no one's running into each other.
Right.
So you're not going to have him on special teams butting heads with someone when he's probably the least experienced tackler you have on your team.
Plus, he's a guy that was often injured at BYU. Every single year he didn't finish the season at BYU because of an injury. And you got him running down there again playing special teams. It was a nice story. I mean, when I went back and I watched the game and I heard the Fox crew say that, I'm like, whoa, heir apparent in the building. Well, none of us heard that. You know, that's a first. Of course, he turns around and downplays it to the local media.
But you know, we're prisoners of the moment. And because it felt good this past Sunday.
Exactly.
Throw it out there. Splash report.
No doubt. Guys, big game. No matter how you slice it, division game, 4 days rest after a tough Carolina team, which is always physical, trying to get some guys back from injury. Can't understate the Pete injury right now, especially if Armstead doesn't get a chance to go out there and perform at a high level. Lattimore, obviously, with Julio Jones. Why not take you first? I think you got to keep the mistakes to a minimum. You can't have the penalties. You got to play solid football. I think you do that. I think you're good enough to win this game. Your thoughts?
I think the Saints are good enough to win every game they play in. I think a lot of it comes down tonight to who's playing. Is Marshawn Lattimore playing opposite Ken Crawley? If that's the case, I like your chances better. If not, then I don't like the idea of Sterling Moore and P.J. Williams being your other two cornerbacks having to stop that machine that they have on offense. I think the Falcons are going to have a better offensive game they had against Minnesota. The Vikings have a good defense, but it's not that good to where Atlanta only scores 9 points. I think they have a breakout game tonight a little bit. I think it's close, but I think it's going to be a tough game for the Saints to win on the road because of personnel issues and the offensive line you don't know yet.
That's what concerns me, is being on that road. And quite frankly, as well as we have been playing, we can't take the Falcons for granted, thinking that we can just do a little bit here or there instead of literally staying with the game plan, focusing. It's been smash mouth football and then opening it up to throwing it downfield. We can't revert back to let's put everything on Drew and then forget about the impact that Mark and Kamara has on this
game. And if that happens, that's on Sean Payton because, listen, since 2006, Sean Payton's always been about opening up the offense, throwing it down the field, getting pass happy. And I've been so happy to see him not do that a lot this year. But sometimes he'll throw a play in there. You're like, where did that come from?
Why did
you do that?
Yeah.
And even in the press conference at the end, he'll go, you know what, we'll throw that play out. We shouldn't have done it.
But, you know, I think sometimes he gets so antsy
because
he wants
to
just...
his fingers on the button.
Right. No, I agree.
And I just sit and wait on it. I was like, it's coming. And that's when they usually turn the ball over or something.
And I'd like to see a little more of Kamara. I mean, again, I think if they would have saw more of Kamara in the Los Angeles Rams game, that there might have been a different game there. And you know, you may have to lean on him a little bit more as you go down the stretch. You know, they've kind of fed him not as much as maybe I think most people think they should have, because he is so difficult to tackle.
I'm not sure I agree with you on that one in terms of feeding him more, because I think it's been perfect. Because when he gets fed, teams aren't expecting it as much. I think if you start giving him 20, 25 carries a game or 25 people
touches,
people are going to start isolating on him and less on Mark Ingram. I like the balance they have with Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. I think it's been fantastic. I think they played off each other very well. And I've never seen a player, that being Mark Ingram, who has pumped up his teammate more so than he has done this year. He's basically put him on the front of Sports Illustrated every week saying this is the best running back in the league. He's kind of taken a step back a little bit, and that says a lot about Ingram, who's had a really good season.
Man, you know, guys, when Bush was at his best, when Sproles was at his best, not only were they able to do it on the field, but they were great decoys. You get the same thing with Kamara and the way he's playing as well.
The balance has been fantastic from both of them. They are also being very supportive of each other. And you can tell there's a difference between I'm supporting my teammate as opposed to I genuinely support my guy.
Yeah, it's
they
real.
like each other.
They like each other. Exactly.
No doubt.
It's almost like Ingram's taking him up on his wing. And Ingram's not that old of a player either, but he's taking him up on his wing and saying, look, I see the potential in you. And we're gonna get it all out of you.
Well, and you've seen that. You see that with Cam Jordan with the defensive line. You've seen that with Zach Street with the offensive line. Good to see Ingram to be able to do that with the running backs. You need that leadership in the locker room.
The other great thing is it's somebody else's voice besides Drew.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Everyone was always expecting and counting on Drew to get you in that right mind frame. But it's great when you have your position captain. And I say that in the sense of Mark being here longer. I say that with Zach being here longer.
Yeah.
Your position captains, when you hearing it from someone else that's in your position, it's a different voice now as opposed to Drew always having to do it.
And you don't want to lose that with veterans in the NFL. It's such a cutthroat business that a lot of times there may be some players that don't want to help the younger player coming up because they know that younger player one day is going to take their job. We've seen instances on this team where guys are willing to give up themselves to be able to, again, reach down and teach the next generation of players how to be a professional, how to go about your business. That creates championship teams.
It's been fantastic to watch because that's how you create teams that are going to win consistently.
True.
We haven't had a consistent winner here since 2009, 11, and 13. Those lean years in between because of so many reasons, bad draft picks, guys you brought in from free agency haven't panned out, Jerry Spurd, giving money to players and they leave the next year. And I mean, just so many reasons why this team hasn't won. They're finally doing things right, the right way now, so they are setting themselves up to win in the future, not just this year.
Definitely a different focus with the front office to Sean Payton, where it all starts. And again, you get a few good free agency classes, a few good draft classes, things could turn around. That's definitely happened for the Saints. You're watching Inside New Orleans Sports. Our guest tonight, Juan Kincaid, Sports Director at Fox 8 Sports here in New Orleans. Also, Dino Hanson of ESPN 100.3 FM here in New Orleans. We'll take a quick break. We come back. We'll talk some Pels on the way back.
Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration has been family-owned and operated since 1989. Burkhart has energy-efficient solutions and offers brands such as Mitsubishi ductless AC units and Amana, the only manufacturer with a lifetime unit replacement warranty. Burkhart's offers maintenance bundle packages that include servicing your AC, generator, and tankless water heater. For more information on the services Burkhart's provides, visit acpromise.com. Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration, providing comfort for life.
Located at 3701 Iberville Street in Mid-City is Katie's Restaurant and Bar. Open 7 days a week, Katie's offers daily specials for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Serving New Orleans cuisine such as fried shrimp platters, grilled redfish, and a fully stocked bar. And don't forget about our expanded event seating and local entertainment. Featured on the Best of Food Network's diners, drive-ins, and dives, Katie's Restaurant and Bar. Amco Fence, locally owned and operated since 1976. Fully licensed and insured and a member of the BBB, Amco serves both residential and commercial customers. If you're looking to repair, replace, or install a fence for security or aesthetic reasons, Amco Fence supplies wooden, metal, chain link, vinyl, and ornamental or automatic gates. Amco aims to satisfy your fencing needs. Amco Fence, 504-468-9559 or AmcoFenceCompany.com.
Welcome back to Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Tonight, Juan Kincaid, Sports Director at Fox 8 Sports. Also, Dino Hanson of ESPN 100.3 here in New Orleans are our guests. Guys, Pelicans, at the time of our taping, 12-12 on the season. They're taking on Denver Nuggets on Wednesday night. They've got a nice little homestand here. Right now, Anthony Davis, left abductor injury, day-to-day. We're hearing that he was able to dunk in practice the other day. The good news is the supporting cast is starting to play now. Yeah. You're starting to see Etuan Moore and Miller and Holiday and Rondo and Cunningham and Allen and even Omer Ashik who are playing well. Ian Clark, who I thought was going to be a real contributor to this team, still in a little bit of a slump trying to find his playing time. But you're finding some complementary guys that are starting to get a feel for the game now, where again, in the beginning of the season, it was just Boogie and Anthony Davis. But this team is still inconsistent. I call them Jekyll and Hyde. They don't play defense. Boogie gets the ball at the top of the key, or when he brings the ball up, it's literally the black hole where again everything stagnates. And you've got a guy in Rondo who is again languishing on the wing when he should be having the basketball in his hand. Giving up 120 to teams, giving up 146 to Denver, which was embarrassing. Guys, it's hard to know what team you'll get from game to game with the Pelicans. But one thing we know, they have not played consistent defense all season long.
No, and they haven't been below 500 since November 3rd either. So it's something we couldn't say about this team for the last 3 years. They are playing better basketball. But my concerns with this team are, one, Rondo, as good a player he is, can't shoot the ball. Still can't shoot. And so he's a liability on the court offensively. Not going to get, but I guess you don't have him here for that, right? Drew Holiday, does he understand his role? There's some nights he'll give you 35, other nights he'll give you 10 and 5 turnovers. And I think it's going to take some time to get that whole Rondo, Drew Holiday thing worked out, because Drew's got to relearn again how to be the guy off the ball. I mean, you cover this team way more than anybody I know, and I just think there are issues with this basketball team. As much as I love DeMarcus Cousins, he drives me crazy. Cannot get fouled and not get mad. Can't stay on the court because he gets thrown out. Doesn't hustle back when a play doesn't go his way, and he carries the ball like he's a point guard. I'm tired of seeing the big guys playing point on this basketball team because it doesn't work. No, as much as they want to do it.
Right. The accountability is lacking.
Yes.
The lack of leadership, the lack of defensive tenacity, the lack of communication. I don't think our guys, and as close as I am to the floor so many nights, and a lot of times I like to sit up higher just to look at the scheme of what's going on, or what's not going on, should I say. But when I am to the floor, what really aggravates me the most is if my guy is setting a pick on Juan, I don't let Juan know, pick to the left or pick to the right.
No communication.
There is no communication, and that saves you more than anything else defensively. Even if you're not a great one-on-one ball defender, when you know you have help defense, when you know I'm going to step out over the pick for you and Juan can come around me, it's just a lack thereof communication. Additionally, the fact that Boogie is playing point center, it literally stops ball movement.
Yes.
You have Rajon Rondo here, and as Juan alluded to, although Rajon is not your scorer, we have enough guys on this team that can score.
Let him facilitate.
Let him facilitate. He is averaging 7 assists per 1 turnover on this team. Boogie, 5 assists, 5 turnovers. AD, 2 assists, 2 turnovers. Jameer Nelson, 5 assists, 1 turnover. So it's really not that hard to figure out who needs to have the ball in his hands. Drew most certainly is a much better off guard than what he is as a point guard. Now, being a former point guard and shooting guard, it's still hard for me to understand why he was having so much trouble being able to facilitate, because there were times at Oregon and professionally where I would have to go from that 2 guard to that 1 guard, and I knew what my job was, to facilitate and keep my guys engaged and put them into a better position where they can lead. Rajon Rondo, if you see him, he is that coach on the floor. He's always been that. Let's not forget, you're talking about a guy who came out of Kentucky, who played with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, right out of the gate.
Strong personality.
So these guys entrusted him to run their basketball team. It needs to be that same voice here. Alvin needs to do the exact same thing. And I know you guys have also seen this. We also spend so much time chirping with officials about every single call.
It's epidemic.
And the opposing teams, no, we're going to run it right back down your throat because you're still arguing about a previous call.
Right.
That is the main caveat. But here's the thing about it. You also see Alvin spending so much time doing the exact same thing.
The players are going to follow their leader.
Absolutely.
And I will say this about Alvin Gentry. As much as I like him, we grew up close by the same town. What bothers me the most about him, and I guess this is just an NBA coaching, understanding where you are in the food chain. He will not bark at Cousins. He will not bark at Anthony Davis when they do something wrong.
Right.
He will not do it. It's almost like he's afraid.
We had that conversation before the show.
That drives me crazy. I'm like, you are the coach. They're the players. If they're not doing right, you make them do right. Because one way or the other, if you don't make the playoffs and don't live up to the expectation, you're going to be fired anyway.
Fall back on you. And we've all played ball. And as a player, you want to be coached.
You want to be coached and told what to do.
You want your coach to hold you accountable and jump on you. It's not anything personal, but listen, Boogie, in order for us to be effective as a team and
I need
win,
you to give the ball up.
This is what I need you to do, whether you like it or not. And if you don't do it, I have no problem sitting you down, even if that means I may put in an Omir Ashik who won't give me the offensive prowess that I need, or Alexi when he does come back, or Dante. But I know that they're going to do what I need them to do for us to be effective.
Boogie needs to realize there's a reason why you have never made the playoffs.
Well, he's still got that. He's still in that Sacramento mode, okay, where he feels like he's got to do everything. And Dino and I were talking about this before the show. You know, Alvin Gentry still has that assistant coach mentality. The assistant coach is the buffer for the head coach. He's the friend of the players. You can't be the friend of the players when you're a head coach. You've got to lay the law down. You've got to say we're going to play this way, and the team has to acquiesce to that. And he hasn't done that up to this point. I know it's a players' league, but again, the great coaches are able to balance that.
Do you think Greg Popovich cares who on his team likes him?
Not at all.
Do you think Steve Kerr cares who likes him on his team?
When the Spurs mess up and it's the starters, what does he do? Pull all 5 starters
He
out.
has
He doesn't
pulled
care.
them with no problem whatsoever. And he doesn't expect, because I'm bringing in my second squad, for there to be any drop-off.
No, he doesn't.
None whatsoever. So when your head coach expectation is up here, as a player, you want to maintain that same level.
One thing that kills me, and y'all know you're going to agree with this, when Anthony Davis is going down with injury back in Utah, the first reason why they lost that game from Alvin Gentry's mouth was, well, we lost our all-star.
Right.
I'm like, you've got another all-star on the court.
Right.
And the rest of the players are still playing. It's the excuses on why you're losing, as opposed to we're not playing good defense. We keep turning the ball over. Guys aren't making shots. They're up on Golden State by 20 points, and I understand it's Golden State.
True
but
indeed.
you come out and they go on, what, a 25-6 run?
25-6 run.
I mean,
Golden State allows you to hurt yourself.
Yes.
Turnovers.
And then they punch on you.
Yes.
We are terrible when it comes to execution. Our decision making, especially down the stretch, you are oblivious to what is going on. You've literally seen some of them wondering where the ball should go. And I will say this, and I've been saying this for years, regardless of what the situation is down the stretch, that ball needs to be in AD's hand.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
It has to be.
Right.
If he is your all-star, there is no, that it does, an AD, we all know, is by far one of the most unselfish superstars in the league. It doesn't mean that he's going to take the shot.
Yeah.
He is more than a willing
But he's going to draw that double team.
He's going to draw the double team.
The ball should go through AD.
AD.
No doubt about it.
Hands
And it's
down.
not. It's going through Boogie right now.
Exactly.
And it's stagnating the offense. But guys, on the defensive side of the ball, it's about effort. It's about want to. Same thing when it comes to rebounding and offensive rebound. This team does an offensive rebound with the Twin Towers they have. They don't play defense. They don't close out on shots. And that's about, again, wanting to. This team was a much better defensive team last year. Everybody wants to put it on Solomon Hill. I get it. He was a very good defensive player. But I don't see the defensive effort out there.
It's the tenacity. It's the attitude. It's the desire. Because you don't have to be a skilled basketball player to play defense.
No.
If I know Eric is a shooter, I have my scouting report. Yeah. No matter where Eric is on the court, I'm going to talk. I'm going to say, Juan, Eric is coming up to you. I'm going to make sure that we're communicating, and when that ball is moving around the perimeter, I'm going to make sure I'm closing out.
Right.
This is what you do for a living. You shoot jumpers, and anybody can make a wide open jump shot if there's no defense in front of you.
Especially the NBA, these wide open threes, they're
in the
wide
NBA.
open.
And here's the other thing that really bothers me more than anything else, because I'm a huge fan of ball movement, because I know what it does, and everybody is involved in how you get easy buckets. But here's what happens. Other teams will move the ball on us and make us chase and defend, and we are out of sorts. Yeah. We, on the other hand, we don't do that to other teams. What do we? I pass the ball to Juan, he's shooting a shot.
Right.
I pass the ball to Eric, you might pass it right back, I'm trying to get to the cup. There is not any, and nobody, in all honesty, since the day I started picking up a basketball, wants to really play defense.
Right.
No. Make that other team play defense.
You've got to, though. You know, in this league, to win, you've got to be able to play defense.
Absolutely.
Okay, and you can't be giving up 146 to teams.
No.
This is not the old ABA. Come on.
And for as much as people, and we have to continuously use Golden State as the top echelon team. Not that we're trying to mimic them. That's the other thing that Alvin spends a lot of time doing.
That drives me crazy.
We are not the Golden State Warriors.
There's no Golden State because there's only one Steph Curry.
Exactly.
And you don't have the same. You don't have the same players, the same skill set. Those guys can shoot the basketball.
IQ, the understanding. They actually get pleasure out of moving the basketball.
Yes,
okay, but what they enjoy also doing is forcing you into turning the ball over to defend. I like to say this. Golden State only likes to defend so they can hurry up and get back down on offense.
Right. Well, and it's also, again, the structure of the offense right now, the refusal to put Boogie down on the block. Look, I don't have a problem him stepping out and shooting some threes every now and then. But again, shoot a three when someone's under the boards or you have a chance to get the offensive rebound. But he is going to be more effective on the blocks. You know, and again, he refuses to do that. Especially when Anthony Davis is healthy. You know, against Utah, against Portland, you saw him go down a little bit more. He's got to be on the block.
I'll give you this one, and I know you're a numbers guy and you love this. Boogie is shooting 33% from three. AD is shooting 35%. Darius Miller, 48. Etuan Moore, 47. So you're scoring 50 to 60 points a night in the paint, where you're most effective. When you're running high-low offense, where AD and Boogie are literally carving out the lane, you're more effective. So, Juan, if you're a coach, aren't you going to say, Dino, here's what I need you and Eric to do? Yeah. It's really that simple. Yeah. We don't have to complicate the game.
We don't have to, but I'll say this. When Alvin Gentry came here, I remember that like as yesterday, what he said he wanted to do was get Anthony Davis shooting more threes. Because I think he has the ability to do it. Right. Yeah, everybody has the ability to do it, to work on it, but that's not what I want him doing. And maybe I'm too old school in my thinking. I want my big man down the block. I don't mind him taking a three every now and then, but I want him dominating on the block because nobody in this league has twin towers like we do.
Right. You're wasting the strength of your team by allowing these guys to sit on the outside and shoot jumpers. Every team in the league says, please do it.
I have no problem with you stepping out every now and again, shooting a three, because you're anxious. You want to get up your shots. But at the end of the night, let's not forget, when AD's numbers went down, that's because he spent his whole time on the perimeter.
Which was ridiculous.
Absolutely. Can you imagine if Pop coached this team? He'd be like, oh, it's like David Robinson. It's that again.
David Robinson and Tim Duncan all over again.
Right. Which is what we
would
thought.
Go crazy. Could you imagine those two with Kawhi Leonard? And, oh, my God, man.
And speaking of San Antonio, not to get off the Pelicans, of course, but you've never heard Pop use the excuse, well, we don't have Tony Parker nor Kawhi Leonard.
Never.
Nope.
And they're still top four.
The reason why, because San Antonio does what they do, and they're not going to change what they do. And if you don't want to be a part of that, you can go someplace else. But this is how we're going to win because it's won before.
For as aggravated as people thought LaMarcus Aldridge was, what did he do this past summer? Re-signed with the San Antonio Spurs.
And conformed.
Exactly.
And conformed to what he wanted him to do, no doubt.
You go there to win. And until, and mind you, yes, I don't want to beat up our pals. We are improved now. Right. We're better than what we have been in the past. We're 500 team.
Right. But they could be better.
We could, exactly. And that's what really gets people frustrated, and especially we all see it. In that fourth quarter, people are cringing with those last 7 minutes because we know we're not going to play smart execution basketball.
Guys, let's shift gears to the LSU Tigers. 9-3 on the season, 6-2 in the SEC. Citrus Bowl berth against Notre Dame. Look, it's a New Year's Day bowl. You're playing against a national program. You get the extra practice time. It's a win-win. The only drawback is back-to-back Citrus Bowls. But this is, if they could, looking at where they were against Troy to where they are now, and you got to be happy if you're a Tiger fan to be playing Notre Dame in the Citrus Bowl.
I think you're right, because when you lost that game to Troy, and then Troy sends you a thank you note for inviting us to homecoming, that was fantastic, by the way. I mean, you're happy where you were. You saw some growth with this football team. You really did. I think they should have been better than what they were this year. But I think every LSU fan thinks as well they should be in the national championship. But I think they were the fourth best team in the SEC
young
this
team,
year.
Though, this year. A lot of turnover.
A lot of young. And, you had a lot of offensive linemen that are no longer with the program, whether they either transferred out or were kicked out of school.
That's what really hurt them.
Most of them playing at Southeastern. Ed Orgeron's got some work to do with that program as far as recruiting. He keeps saying wait to 2019. Well, 2018 needs to be really good as well. So
especially with Jimbo Fisher now at A&M.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, I think it's back to the Citrus Bowl. I'm not so worried about that. I mean, I think it's a good matchup against Notre Dame. It'll be a pretty good game to watch.
The thing that you have to give Coach O a lot of credit for is the resilience that they showed after the Troy game.
Yes.
That could have fallen apart.
Yeah, exactly, Juan. They could have easily gone downhill, and people would have really felt like LSU's program was as low as it's ever been. They didn't. They bonded together. Even when you would hear the players speaking, you could still hear that we're going to get this together. And that is huge psychologically. The fact of them playing a Notre Dame for the Citrus Bowl also bodes extremely well because Notre Dame has a very good football team. So this is going to help you recruiting next season. This is going to set the tone of exactly where you are, and that LSU is back in that national prominence talk again.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Guys, Matt Canada looks like he's being pushed out. Your thoughts on Canada? Should he return? Should they move on? The scuttlebutt is he went to Aleva and complained about Coach O meddling in the offense. Hey, as a head coach, you can't trust your offensive coordinator if he's going over your head. So I see it from that point. On the other hand, he's a guy that's cultivated quarterbacks, and that's one of the reasons why you wanted him here at LSU.
Good one.
Well, I mean, the offense wasn't as good as you thought it was going to be this year, for whatever the reason is. You didn't get enough out of your quarterback this year that you thought you were going to get as a senior, but I think Danny Etling gave you everything he could give you. I mean, he was a decent quarterback.
Oh, no, he gave
he could become a starter at Purdue. So he came here, gave you what you needed. I think I would like to see Canada stay around for another year at least. Get this offense fully incorporated, put in the system, and see what the quarterback coming up next can do. But my question with LSU has always been this year, they don't have receivers. That's their biggest issue. They don't have any standout guys that can catch the ball. And until they get that problem fixed, and the guys they had, they're gone, to get that problem fixed, I don't think it's going to be better.
It's definitely a need in this upcoming recruiting class.
Nothing kills like speed.
Absolutely.
And you did not have it out there for this team to explode. My concern is, and I want to get you guys' feedback on this, did you feel like Canada, oft times more than not, was trying to be too cute?
Well, but you know what? That was one of the things that you had that you worried about when he came in.
For the SEC,
for the SEC,
the SEC's not going to fall for that. Though.
Exactly.
SEC's going to wait for the lineman to get set again, and then they're going to go.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the reason why I bring that up is because I talk about this all the time. Of course, me being an Oregon alumni.
Yes.
That said, the Willie Taggart situation. I've told people no matter what, no matter how many times we as a Pac-12 play an SEC school, we will not be able to handle them simply because the SEC has the speed, but they also have the size and the strength to go along with that. And I felt like there were times that I understand that's Canada's offense and who he is, but I felt like it didn't match up a lot with the SEC because it was something that you couldn't, that trickery, if you will, doesn't work in the SEC.
Guys, Darius Guys has said he will make his decision after the Citrus Bowl. I'm going to say right now.
Come on, Darius.
He's going pro. And look, as he should. A running back has only so much tread on the tires. If you're good enough to go as a junior, you need to go to the NFL.
He needs to go. He needs to follow in Leonard Fournette's footsteps and get out of college because you're just one injury away from having your season done and your career done before you even get to the pros. So he has nothing left to prove here. He showed last year what he can do.
Yes.
You know, in the shadow of Leonard.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think he's going. I think he should go, in spite of so many fans wanting him back, wanting to see him. And you get that. But as you mentioned, it's a very short life on that thread. And you have to get it while it's hot, if you will, to a degree, simply because of so many teams who are still in need of a good running back that's dynamic as Geis is.
Who will have the longer career, Geis or Darryl Williams? I think Darryl Williams will be a very good pro.
He may have. I tell you what, he's going to surprise a lot of people in the pros.
I think he's going to be a very good. He was a fantastic running back at Eric.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was.
Had so many yards there, but I think he may be a better pro.
Once
than
he lost the
will.
weight, he really came into his own this year.
I can see him playing with like a Patriots team.
Yeah. Well, look, that's a pipeline. They love LSU players. Juan Kincaid, Dino Hanson, thanks so much for being with us tonight on Inside New Orleans Sports.
My pleasure. Thank
Eric,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, there's a rebroadcast of this program each and every Friday night right here on WLE at 10 p.m. Also on Pelican Sports Television. That's statewide, 9 p.m. every Friday. We're on the Cox Cable tier Thursday nights at 10 o'clock and on 2 a.m. on Saturday mornings. That's Cox 130. Catch me on the radio, 990 a.m. WGSO. That's weekdays, 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. You can listen live, download the podcast at ericasher.com. You can also check out the TuneIn Radio app, which is a free download for your smartphone or tablet. You take the show with you anywhere. Remember, all the previous episodes of Inside New Orleans Sports can be seen at ericasher.com as well. Again, special thanks to our guest tonight, Dino Hanson, and also Juan Kincaid. Also to the WLE production staff, Ron Yeager, Jim Dotson, Kenny Juno, and my director, William Hill. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you back here for another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports. Have a great week.
Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is underwritten by
Located on Lake Pontchartrain, Brisbee's Lakefront Restaurant and Bar offers traditional West End favorites, a scenic view, oysters, and numerous tasty options. More information is available at 504-304-4125 or brisbeesrestaurant.com.